Hi, here with a crochet tutorial today for our lovely smart dolls here, but of course it will fit any other doll who has a similar head size towards 8 and 9 inches in circumference. Now she has a nice little Mickey Mouse one here. This could be Minnie Mouse, of course, if you just change some of the colourings, and perhaps we had a little bow on the top, but we decided we went for Mickey Mouse rather than Minnie. It is a very simple make, very quick make. So as you can see, it's here on Shitozi. Fits very nicely. You can turn it all the way around. You can see. I will be putting some photos up on my pages as well of her in it. Now, as always, the pattern will have a link, so don't worry too much. If you don't want to watch all the video, you can pop straight to the blog spot if you just follow the link, and that will show you. So we have the hat here as well, as you can see. Now I'm going to pop Shitozi to one side, and we're going to get on and actually make this. Now this is what we need basically. It's Mickey Mouse. We need red, we need black. I've gone for the yellow buttons. Some pictures do actually show him with white buttons, but I thought the yellow ones were quite nice. We need our sewing up needles. We need our there we can see it, 3.5mm crochet hook. Pair of scissors, of course. And we'll pop that little hat to one side as well. It starts with the black, so it's starting on the crown of the hat. Now, black is, well, it's a nightmare to actually see. This is all double knit yarn, by the way. Would help to tell you that, wouldn't it? It's a very, very simple pattern, but as I say, you need really good light for this. So apologies if you can't always see the stitches. I will try and do my best for you to actually see them. So I'm going to start, there's my slip stitch onto my hook. I'm going to do 4 chain this time. I know I've done 2 before, but that's 2, 3 and 4. The reason being is those 3 are going to count as our treble. The first one is just going to be where we're going to put the rest of the trebles. So from then on, we're going to do a treble stitch, UK terms remembering. So yarn around the hook into that first chain space, and we create a treble. We're going to do that another 8 times because we need 9 trebles into this one little chain, but remembering those 3 chain count as a treble, so we've actually got the equivalent to 10 trebles. Like I say, black's not great to see, but unfortunately we can't really do a Mickey Mouse in any other colour. So I'll quickly do this. It is probably one of the quicker hats. I've done it all in trebles to make it fast. It could be just done in double crochets, but obviously the actual mathematics of it will be slightly different, and it will take a little bit longer. Let's check. I'm not counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a slip stitch into the top where those 3 chain would make a treble. So we're going to slip that in. Not everybody likes slip stitches, but we do need to do them. So we've joined. Tighten up by pulling that little bit in the middle. We are now going to do 2 trebles into each of those trebles, but of course the first one has got to be a chain. Well, it's got to be 3 chains. 1, 2 and 3. Counts, as I've written in the pattern, I do actually say counts as your first treble. Now the actual treble that you're going to do is going to go into the base of that. So I'm hoping, I don't want to do it too quick, you can see where the hole is and the light is showing it. That is where we're going to go. Easy to miss. Make sure we pick up 2, not 1, like I nearly did then. And we're going to do a treble. So that's our first increase, the equivalent to 2 trebles into 1 stitch. Now from then on, we have to do 2 into the top of each treble. There we go. First one's always difficult to pick up. I always find the actual stitch splits somewhat. Now I'm just going to do this a little bit quicker. A treble's a treble, no matter where we go. The increase of a treble is basically just 2 stitches into the same hole, which will give us an increase. I'm just going to move that black yarn over there because it's annoying. Alright, so let's just get round. As you can see, because it's a treble, it's growing really quick. I mean, if these were double crochets, we'd have had to do about 5 rounds to actually get to this point. It means it's not in an amigurumi style because it's not spiral, because I am using trebles. So you will get a line of joins, so be careful when you do your slip stitch. You want to keep it as neat as possible. Again, the other thing with trebles though is if you lose count like I've just done, it's really easy to count. So we know we've got 2 in each, so I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Look at that, look at that. Can you see what I've done? That's the problem when you're talking. I've only put one in that one, but it's not an issue, is it, as you know? Quickly just take it out and we're going to pop it in there. So that would be 18. And this one will be 19 and 20. So 2 in. And again, joining with that slip stitch into the top of that 3 chain. Making sure, again, harder with black to see, but trying to make sure that you do, I'm having a bit of a fight here, to get into the top of it. Right, there we go. So we're growing a little bit. We're going to do the same again for this round. So it's going to start with the 3 chain. We're going to put 1 treble into the base of that one. So that's our first increase. And from then on round, we're going to do 2 trebles into every single stitch. Now we've increased up to 20 for the last one. So if we're doing 2 into each, clearly we're actually up to 40 stitches. So if in doubt, like I say, or you're not counting or you're distracted, it's quite simple to count those treble posts. They are one of the easier stitches to actually count. But don't do what I did and just do 1 into 1. But it takes seconds to undo, so it's not the end of the world. Here we go, we're nearly there, nearly round. Not sure on the timing. I did time myself earlier, but unfortunately I was also watching, look, I've done it again. I was really stopped talking, but then to be silent, that'd be a bit weird. I was watching Game of Thrones as well, because I've only managed to catch up today to watch it. And not a good idea trying to time when you're watching something like that, because I ended up getting incredibly distracted. And rather than crocheting, I was watching Game of Thrones. So my time measurements that I tried to work out didn't quite go to plan. But I don't think it's going to be long. I reckon probably half an hour for the actual, maybe a little bit longer. That's a bit too short. But you definitely get the whole thing done within an hour, with the buttons, with the sewing up, with absolutely everything. So it's not bad. You get a nice doll hat nice and quickly then. Let's have a look. I've just declined a telephone call. That's what I was doing then. I swear people wait for me to actually do something and then call me. Right, here we are, we're nearly round. So this should be 2 in each. So I should have 40 stitches. And the last one. Right, before I do my slip stitch, I'm just going to check that I have got 2 in each. So it's quite easy, just stretch it out slightly. You can see you've got your 2 in every one. It's quite easy to spot if you've only got a single one. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. So again, slip stitch into the top. Now every round while we're doing our trebles is going to start with that 3 chain. So we have our 40 stitches now. So now they're just going to be 1 treble into every single treble, but we'll start with our 3 chain, counts as our first treble. Now watch this, because sometimes you think, oh well, that must be my next one, and you can see you've got quite a gap there. It's not always obvious when you've just done a 3 chain from a slip stitch where your first one is, but it is actually quite close. It's really quite low down there. So off we go again. If you've got an obvious gap, and it is an obvious gap, you'll know that you've missed a stitch. So all we're going to do now is treble into every single one of these stitches. Again, nice and loose stitch, nice and easy to do. A lot of my hats are just done in double crochet, amigurumi style, but sometimes they are a little bit looser like this. You could use this pattern just to do a very basic beanie. I know I'm doing a Mickey Mouse one, but there's absolutely no reason why do a pink one, a blue one, whatever takes your fancy, and just don't do any colour changes. Or a nice variegated yarn, that would be nice, and it would be a very fast beanie to do this one. Could have a few hats out in an evening, I think. Just don't watch Game of Thrones like I was watching, otherwise you'll get distracted. Oh, no, I missed that one. There we go, again. Never be frightened of undoing your work. The beauty of crochet compared with knitting is it's quite easy to undo, and you're not worried about dropping stitches and losing stitches, because there's only really 1 stitch on the hook. Oh, round one more, a little early there. Now on this black one now, we do have 3 rounds of trebles. So you're going to have to persevere with me, I'm afraid, while we do that. But we are doing this in real time. For those of you who are quite comfortable with what you're doing, you can clearly just fast forward on this little bit. But there are people out there that are beginners, so I do have to think about those as well. and some people will be trying to almost do it at the same time as me, which perhaps I am going a little bit fast for that. Right, so that's the round with the 1, and again we do need that slip stitch join at the top, so we start with 3 chain again. Remember where we're going, it needs to be quite close even though it's not obvious. Bit of a gap there, don't like that, so I think I've gone in that wrong stitch again, so keep an eye on that. There we go, and we go. So this is our second round. We do only have 40 stitches, so it's not exactly that much. But even though we're not increasing, you will find that the hat is getting bigger by doing these rounds. The other thing with the treble is you've got quite a bit of stretch to the hat. So depending on what doll you're planning on doing it for, I know my Crochet Smartdoll was modelling that one, but I do know that this will fit some of my other dolls. It definitely fits my pull-ups. I'm not sure, I've only got a midi Blythe, so I can't compare on that one, but I think it does fit a Blythe. It's too big for my midi, but I think they do fit Blythes as well. And of course you've got all your other dolls, your Volks dolls, your Ozone dolls, that have all got approximately the same head dimension. The only ones I do actually have of that size are my Smartdolls. So I've got my Crochet and my Mirai. There we go, a couple more stitches for our second round. We're going to be changing our colour as well after this third one. Don't be scared of changing colours. There's a couple of different ways of doing it, which I have mentioned on my other videos, but it is nice and simple, especially when we're only doing trebles like this. A couple more stitches for this second one. I am doing my second one, aren't I? See, again, I start talking and I lose track. Nearly there. See, I'm rushing now and it goes wrong. You should not rush. You should be able to relax when you're doing your crochet. You shouldn't get stressed about it. It's a very good relaxing hobby if you can think about it like that. Right, I'm thinking, I'm just going to do a double check on my counting. I'm sure I've got another round. But that one was our 6 in 1. That was our 2 in each. 6 in 1. It was, we had 10, didn't we? I'm going back to my amigurumi. So we had 10 there. We had 20 there. We had 40 there. That's 1 round, that's 2 rounds. So yes, we need 1 more round. And again, they're easier to see than trebles doing these trebles, double crochets doing these round. I mean, as much as I'm telling you these are UK terms, it's pretty obvious what stitch I am doing. If you are a crochet, you can see it's a longer stitch, the treble, rather than that double crochet. Over in America, this is actually a double crochet, so it's a bit weird compared. Sort of does make sense though. It's just what you're used to. All different patterns will be in different ways. I think the hardest ones to do I've found is some of the Japanese ones, which I've been using the graphs. Love the patterns. There's some beautiful, beautiful patterns, but unfortunately you've got to work on a graph system unless you can obviously read Japanese, which is something I can't do. I'd love to be able to, but unfortunately I'm very, very limited. I've got a few words, but that's about it. Nearly round. Yep, so we're about 2/3, maybe 1/3, no, I'm terrible with maths. Just over halfway, that'll do. I'm going to be getting that red yarn ready any second. I mean, the little yellow buttons I've bought, I just got these quite cheap off eBay. It was just a bag of them. Of course, they don't have to be these, and as I've gone for the yellow, I've looked at loads of pictures of Mickey Mouse, and some are yellow, some are white. Obviously, he does wear different clothes, especially now we've got a lot of the younger children's channels with all the different Mickey Mouses. There's loads of different ones you could do. But obviously, we need the black at the top because it's representing his head. Here we are, last stitch and slip stitch. Now I'm not going to fully slip stitch. Can you see? I've just gone that far. I've not finished it because now I'm going to snip off this black. There we go. And I'm going to introduce the red double knit yarn. The red will be a little bit easier to see, I'm hoping. Does look quite clear, I think, on the camera. I'm just having a quick nosy there. Right, so as you see, I didn't complete it. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to pull that through as if it was a double crochet there. Now, up to you whether you tie this now, these two together, or whether you wait till you've done a few stitches. I'm going to wait till I've done a few stitches and then I can just tighten it up. Now, remember, trebles, so we've got to start with 3 chain. So you might need to just keep tightening that up a little bit. And then treble, just 1 treble in each treble. There's only 2 rounds of this one. Trying desperately to stay in the center of my camera as well, because I've noticed some of the videos when I move the crochet towards myself, we get a blurring, and I thought it was perhaps just my camera is not good enough to do it. My son says it's because I'm coming out of the center area. So I'm just going to tie these off now before they go anywhere. These are just going to be sewn in ends. That's a little bit short for my liking, but I'm only going to be stitching them in, so it doesn't matter. They will be stitched in at the end. Right, I'm going to cut that one a bit shorter because it's going to get in my way. Oh, if the scissors will cut, there you are. Right, so back to the red. As I say, a lot easier to see now. You can actually see the individual posts of the trebles. That's what I say, it would make quite a nice, just a beanie hat, just nice and easy. All right, here we go. Carry on round. As I was saying, we've got 2 rounds in the red, and then there'll just be 2 more for the hat part. The ears we are going to be doing in 4 parts, as much as that sounds mad. You can actually just do 2 ears, but what I do find is it's not really stiff enough to stand up properly. So I'm going to do them in 2s, because I'm not going to show you all of them. I'm going to make a couple to show you what we have to do, but I'm not going to complete it on here, not to lengthen the time. Right, we're nearly round. But yeah, by sewing 2 together, it actually just gives a little bit more stability for the ears, so they stick up without any issues at all. My yarn's rolling about. Stay there. Am I moving? I think I am. Again, if you know what you're doing, you can fast forward this little bit. In fact, you could fast forward to the ears if you want, because as I say, all I'm going to be doing is 2 rounds exactly the same in the red, and then I'm going to do 2 rounds with a double crochet just to tighten it up to around the edge. I think it just looks a little bit neater if you do that, but again, doesn't have to be done. That's about it for round 1. 2 more stitches, is it? 1 more stitch, 1 more stitch. And then we're going to slip stitch. I pulled that a little bit tight from the previous round, but we're going to slip stitch into the top. Try and get 2 bits, it makes it a lot tighter. And we start with 3 chain again. Remember, every round, if it's going to be for trebles, it's going to start with 3 chain. Hope I'm going to see a couple of these done by a few people. It would be lovely. If there's any problems at all with this or the pattern that I've actually typed up, I have proofread it, but quite often you can miss things. You don't always proofread your own work properly. But if you do spot any errors, please let me know. They're easy enough to alter, or if you're having any difficulty with the pattern, just ask. I don't mind trying to deal with as many queries as possible. People do write patterns in different ways. I hope I am clear with my pattern, but if you're used to reading in a different format, it might confuse sometimes. So just give me a shout if there are any issues. So far we've got, oh, not much. I'm going to have to make some little Mickey Mouse hats for my smaller dolls now. I usually try and make a few for different ones. Got a convention to go to, DollyCon, later in the year in July. So I'll be taking a few of these along, but I will be taking some little ones as well. Last couple of stitches. And there we go, so slip stitch join. We've now got our DC round, so I am going to start now. If I was doing amigurumi, I wouldn't start with a chain. I've just knocked the camera. I wouldn't start with a chain, but because we're not doing it that system, we're stopping and starting, I do need a chain up before I go anywhere, and then just to nicely tighten it up a little bit. As much as trebles are lovely and they're very quick to do and you get some speedy work out of it, they can be loose and they can be sort of stretchy a little bit, so it's just neatens it up a little bit, gives a little bit more grip around the shape of the hat on the head. I'm just going to do one round of these. I think I'm just going to tell you to do the 2 rounds because there are 2 rounds. That's what I've chosen to do. You could possibly get away with 1, but I want to get onto these ears to show you what I'm going to do. Oh, nearly tried to do a treble. It's anything when you've been doing lots of trebles. I hope the camera's not gone too skewy. If you look as if it's gone a bit wobbly because I've kicked it. Thing is, you don't need a stitch marker either with this, because where we changed our yarn there's still a bit of wool sticking out between the black and the red, so we know that's where we started, and it's only because we've got a couple of rounds we're okay. There we are, we're nearly at the beginning. Right, so I'm actually going to leave that at there. I would tell you now to do one more round, because you can see we've got our little hat now. You could leave it at that, it's not a huge difference in depth. I would do one more. So you've got one more round and then fasten up and get all these loose ends stitched in. Just completely stitch them all in. I overstitch a little bit. I'm always putting lots and lots of threads through because I'm always worried about things coming undone. But however you would normally stitch in, get rid of any loose threads because you do want to get them out of the way. So I'm going to pop this to one side and I'm going to grab that black yarn again, which I've dropped on the floor. There we go, I've got it. Now, the ears could not be any easier. I have done them in an amigurumi style, so they are spiral. Now, easy to do. Like I tried starting this with, it was just the 2 chain and 6 double crochets. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. We're back with the black again, so it's a little bit harder to see, so I do recommend you get a good light. So if you're not sure, count from the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now into each of those 6 now you're going to do 2 double crochets. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just one more set of 2, so just 2 double crochets into every single one. So now we've got 12. We're going to do that again so we get 24 round again. So easy enough to count with these again, don't really need a stitch marker for it. You can either count in your head, or if it's quiet it's easy enough, just count out loud. And that's 3, 4, 5, remember we've got 12, 6, I don't know that I've just missed one then, never mind, it won't matter for this. Make sure you read the amounts on the pattern though. 8. It's nice and flat doing it this way as well, so I'm going to say that's 10, 11, and our last one is 12. Now that's roughly the size. They're all the increases, but can you see when you do an increase sometimes you get a little bit sticking out, so I always like to finish it off with a double crochet round, just a simple double crochet round, just counting 24 stitches. So we're at 3, 4, 5, it just knits it off. That's 15. You see how it looks a lot neater. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, just 4 more. 21, 22, 23 and 24. Now, what I have said on the pattern is to then fasten off. So I am going to do that as the pattern says. Little yarn cut. And fasten off. Now, as I was saying, I've made 4 of these because I want this ear to be quite stiff, because it's not going to stand up if it's just a single layer. Not properly anyway, you'd have to keep adjusting it. Whereas with this way, it is staying up. So we need obviously 4, 2 for each side. Now this is the right side facing. Can you see? Again, being black, it's a little bit hard to tell. So you've got the right side. This, obviously, with the yarn, at the moment it's showing you, is our wrong side. So you're going to put the 2 wrong sides together. So we've got rid of all these little bits, we've stitched all these in, and you're going to pop the 2 wrong sides together, and then you've got a choice. You can either stitch the 2 ears together, make sure you leave a long bit at the end ready to sew it straight onto the doll though, so that does, a little hair there, which does make it easier. Or if you wish, which is what I've done, you can crochet together. So if both sides are together flat, you're just going to use your yarn. Can you see I'm going through 2, not just 1, and then 2 of the other side, and we just crochet round. If you're not sure on that, there is some videos out there that will show you, or perhaps I could do with doing one to go through the details. So that is one there. So when we've done that, you're making sure you're leaving enough to stitch the ears onto here. Now, I have mentioned in my pattern that I prefer to stitch on the doll. Now, the reason being is, I will take this one off a second. She's got hat hair, bless her. And I will just pull this one on that I did, even though I've not quite finished it. So you can see how it sits. Now, if you look at this one, you may have noticed when it was laid down, it looks like this is longer and this is shorter. So it looks like I've done it in the wrong place. The thing being though is a lot of dolls have slightly different shaped heads. So your centre point isn't always the same. If I just took that and folded it in half, I would think, oh look, my ears go there. Yep, I'd go right, 1 there and 1 there. And then what I'd find is it would sit towards the back of my Smartdoll's head. So depending on what doll you've got, the best thing to do, obviously be careful of the wigs, is we pop it on the head. We take this and we decide roughly. Can you see it's sitting forward though? That's not the middle. It's sitting slightly forward. Then I hold it in place and I will stitch while it's on the doll's head. Obviously, just watch for these wigs or watch for the doll, especially if you've got a resin doll there. You don't want to be scratching on her head. So please be careful. If you're not sure about that, you could always pop a little bag or something sort of quite thin over her head to protect it before you did it. But it definitely looks as if it sits forward, which it does. That's why I've got this little bit here. So stitch onto the doll's head if that works best for you. If you're used to it, you might not need to do that. I just find it is easier when I'm popping ears on. She's all tangled up now. Right, so we'll pop her hat back on her head so you can have another little look. Because of course, when we've sewn these ears on, double thickness, remember, we need to sew our buttons on. All I've used is a little bit of the black yarn to just do a couple of stitches over. Obviously, depending on your buttons, you may have the 4 holes. These are just 2 holes. But can you see how firm these ears are? They're not going anywhere. So that is why I'd recommend you do the 4. The pattern does explain all this. So Shito's is very happy with her Mickey Mouse hat. This one we are going to be keeping for ourselves, as I've mentioned. But I am going to be making a few for my Etsy, or I'm also going to be doing a few for the Dolly convention that's coming up. So that's it for this one. Any queries, please let me know. Easily solved, I'm sure. Any queries with the patterns or any faults on the pattern, again, let me know. We all do make mistakes sometimes, and I will want to put them right if I have done that. So I hope you enjoyed that. Hope to see some hats. Please like, share and subscribe, and we will see you soon with another video. So